The galactic orientation facility on Station Prometheus hummed with the nervous energy of 1,000 species. Kira stood apart from the clusters of cadets. Her posture relaxed in a way that made the other species uncomfortable. She didn't huddle for safety. She didn't seek the comfort of her own kind. She simply was. Bennett watched her from across the atrium, his expression unreadable. As the station's xenobiology instructor, he'd seen countless species pass through these halls, but humans always unsettled him in ways he couldn't quite articulate. The Velkari ambassador, a crystalline being that refracted light into rainbow cascades, approached the human female. "Cadet Kira," its voice chimed like breaking glass. "You seem isolated. Do humans not form pack bonds?" Kira smiled, and Bennett noticed how several nearby species flinched at the display of teeth. "We do," she said simply. "But we also walk alone when we need to." The words seemed innocent enough, but Bennett felt their weight. Humans came from Earth, designated classification Omega-7, a death world so hostile that the Galactic Council had initially refused to believe any sentient species could evolve there. Everything on Earth, from its microbial life to its apex predators, seemed designed to kill. "The orientation trek begins in one rotation," Bennett announced, his 4 vocal cords creating harmonies that translated through the universal implants. "You will traverse the biodome sectors. Each has been calibrated to challenge your species' capabilities. Remain in your designated groups." Kira raised her hand. "What if we want to go solo?" The atrium fell silent. Bennett's membrane-covered eyes widened. "The trek is designed for species-specific groups, a Tharn hunting pack, a Velkari lattice, a Morphean hive mind cluster. No one goes alone." "I'd like to request an exception," Kira said, her voice steady. Bennett's translator struggled with the concept. In 60 cycles of conducting orientation, no cadet had ever made such a request. The biodomes contained apex predators from dozens of worlds, creatures that required entire military units to subdue on their native planets. "Denied," Bennett said flatly. "The liability alone—" "I waive all liability," Kira interrupted. "I'm from Earth. We're built for this." The Tharn Pack leader, a creature resembling a bipedal tiger with 4 arms and cybernetic enhancements, chittered with amusement. "The soft skin thinks herself a hunter. How many claws do you possess, human? How many teeth?" Kira's smile never wavered. Enough. Bennett should have refused again. Protocol demanded it. But something in the human's eyes, that predatory confidence that Earth's children wore like a second skin, made him pause. "Fine," he heard himself say. "But I'm monitoring every step." The first biodome simulated the crystal forests of Velkar, a place where light itself could cut like razors. Kira walked through the prismatic maze without hesitation, her movements economical. When a shimmer stalker, a creature of living light that had killed 3 Velkari warriors the previous cycle, materialized before her, she didn't run. She stared at it. Bennett watched through the monitoring station, his appendages tensed. The shimmer stalker was an apex predator, evolved to hunt through sensory overload and disorientation. It moved closer to Kira, its form pulsing with hypnotic patterns. Kira blinked slowly, deliberately, a human gesture of non-aggression that somehow translated across species. But beneath it, Bennett recognized something else, the absolute certainty of a creature that refused to recognize a superior predator. The shimmer stalker circled her once, twice. Then, inexplicably, it retreated into the crystal formations. "Impossible," Bennett whispered. The second biodome housed the swamps of Morfar, a poisonous hellscape where the atmosphere itself could dissolve unprotected flesh. The Morphean cadets, adapted to the toxins, navigated in their designated cluster. Kira entered alone, wearing only the standard atmospheric suit. The mire leviathan that dwelled in the deepest pools was a creature of nightmare, 12 meters of scaled fury with acidic saliva and a bite force that could crush starship hull plating. It had been tranquilized and monitored, deemed safe for observation from a distance. Kira walked to the edge of its pool. Bennett's alarm systems screamed as the leviathan surfaced, its massive head breaking through the viscous water. Every instinct told him to trigger the emergency extraction, to pull the human out before the creature struck. But Kira stood her ground. She met the leviathan's eyes, those ancient reptilian orbs that had stared down prey for millennia. And she didn't flinch. Her hand moved slowly to her side, resting on the survival knife every cadet carried. Not drawing it, just acknowledging its presence. The leviathan's nostrils flared. It could smell her, Bennett realized, could sense the cocktail of chemicals that made up human biology, the adrenaline, the sweat, the pheromones of a species that had clawed its way to the top of Earth's food chain. The creature submerged without attacking. Bennett checked his instruments 3 times, certain they were malfunctioning. They weren't. By the 5th biodome, the frozen peaks of Tharnax Prime, where the ice raptors hunted, the other cadets had begun to notice. The Tharn pack leader watched through the observation ports as Kira navigated the blizzards alone. "She carries no pack," it growled. "No weapons beyond the standard issue. Yet the ice raptors scatter before her approach." Bennett had no explanation. The ice raptors were territorial, aggressive, bred for generations to guard Tharnax military installations. They should have attacked on sight. Instead, they watched Kira pass, their crests lowered in something that looked disturbingly like respect. "What is she?" the Tharn demanded. Bennett finally understood. "She's human," he said quietly. "They come from a world where everything is an apex predator, where the weather can kill, where the microbes can kill, where even the plants have evolved weapons. Humans didn't just survive Earth, they dominated it. They learned to stare down every creature that thought it was superior." "But she has no claws, no fangs." "She has something better," Bennett interrupted. "She has the absolute certainty that she belongs at the top of the food chain. Every predator in these domes can sense it. It's in her scent, her posture, her eyes. She's not prey pretending to be a predator. She is the predator." When Kira emerged from the final biodome, the volcanic hellscape of Pyrax 7th, she was covered in ash and sweat, but unmarked. The lava serpents that nested in the magma flows had watched her pass without striking. Bennett met her at the exit. "How?" he asked simply. Kira looked at him with those unsettling human eyes, forward-facing, designed for hunting, filled with the genetic memory of 10,000 generations of survivors. "On Earth," she said, "we have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." She walked past him, alone, unhurried. Behind her, every apex predator in the biodomes remained still, as if in acknowledgement of something greater than themselves. Bennett watched her go and finally understood why the Galactic Council had been so reluctant to accept humanity. It wasn't because humans were physically superior. Many species were stronger, faster, more naturally armed. It was because humans carried the soul of Earth itself, a death world that had forged them in fire and blood and survival. And when a death world's child walked among the stars, even the universe's apex predators recognized one of their own and stepped aside.